Number 11. German submarine U-534. The Type 9 C-40 U-534 was a long-range submarine that the German Navy used from 1942 to 1945. It was used primarily for testing weapons and also functioned as a weather ship in the North Atlantic. In late 1944, the vessel returned to Germany and was laid up in the port city of Kiel. The Germans surrendered to the Allies on May 4, 1945. By then, the submarine had left the port. A British Royal Air Force bomber sank U-534 the next day near the Danish island of Anholt. All 52 personnel aboard managed to escape, and 49 ultimately survived and were rescued. Sadly, 2 men drowned while awaiting rescue, and another perished while rising to the water's surface. Experts have long wondered where the submarine was headed when it was shot down, especially since it left port right around the time the Germans surrendered. There was an Argentinian woman aboard suggesting that the vessel may have been bound for South America. But no one will ever know for sure because only the submarine's captain knew where it was going, and he took the secret to his grave. A Danish wreck diver named Ege Jensen discovered U-534 in 1986 amid rumors that there was Nazi treasure aboard. The ship was raised, and although it turned out to contain nothing of monetary value, it offered a historically valuable glimpse back in time. Number 10. A massive coral reef. The world's oceans make up the largest yet least understood region of the Earth. Divers have just discovered a massive coral reef off the coast of Tahiti. Filled with rose-colored corals, it measures roughly 2 miles long and 200 feet wide. The reef sits between 98 and 213 feet underwater in the Pacific Ocean. Experts are perplexed because corals typically need sunlight and the warmth of shallow waters to flourish. Most coral reefs are no more than 82 feet beneath the waves, yet the corals at the newly discovered reef don't just survive. At up to 6.5 feet across, they're thriving. In a statement, UNESCO said that it appears to be one of the most extensive healthy coral reefs on record. It was found thanks to advancing technology, which has led to the development of equipment that enables divers to explore greater depths and for longer periods of time. They plan to continue studying this uncharted territory to see what other surprises it may hold. Would you want to explore this newly discovered coral reef? Let me know in the comments down below. Number 9. The USS Muskellunge. The USS Muskellunge was an American Navy submarine that served from 1942 to 1968. It was used during World War II to attack Japanese convoys, including passenger freighters and cargo ships, according to the U.S. military's Naval History and Heritage Command. For several years, it was under the command of the Brazilian Navy as the Humaitá. After several decades of service, it returned to the U.S. and was sunk during a live-fire training exercise off the shore of Long Island in New York. A torpedo ripped it in two, and both sections quickly sank to the bottom of the Atlantic. Parts of the vehicle imploded as it plunged to high-pressure depths that it wasn't designed to withstand. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration described the submarine as being crushed like a soda can by the time it hit the sea floor. Late last year, the agency released footage of its discovery of the wreck. After being notified of the possible location of the wreck site, a team investigated by sending a remote underwater robot 2,000 feet below the surface. The Muskellunge still has identifiable features even after its violent plummet to the sea bottom, with the white letters S-14 identifying it as a former Brazilian Navy vessel. It was discovered as part of a project that aimed to test remotely operated vehicles at various depths. There are an estimated 3 million shipwrecks scattered throughout the world's waterways. This was the first time scientists got the opportunity to visit the Muskellunge, and there are countless others waiting to be seen up close. Number 8. A vehicle graveyard. Divers at Lake Whitney near Waco and Fort Worth, Texas found more than a dozen submerged vehicles recently while searching for human remains. Officials received a tip that the body of a man who disappeared 13 years ago might be in the lake, so they sent a team into the water. 2 of the vehicles were in good enough condition to be removed from the lake bed, where they sat between 40 and 65 feet underwater. 6 others were investigated but were too deteriorated to remove. The Bosque County Sheriff's Office announced the discovery of the cars on social media, but didn't elaborate on whether any of them might belong to the missing man, John Creech. He mysteriously vanished 13 years ago. Police have investigated numerous leads, but have only gained limited evidence on what might have happened to him. The divers who found the vehicles are a highly skilled team from Adventures with Purpose, an organization that searches bodies of water for missing people across the U.S. Since 2019, they've recovered over 100 submerged vehicles. Number 7. World War II submarine wreck. The Italian submarine Giantino was built in 1932. The 200-foot-long vessel left the Greek island of Leros on July 5, 1941 with 48 sailors on board. It sank in the Aegean Sea after being hit by British torpedoes. There were only 6 survivors who swam to the nearby island of Delo. A team led by renowned Greek diver Kostas Toktaridis recently discovered the Giantina wreck off the island of Mykonos using a remotely operated vehicle. It sits 338 feet beneath the waves and is the 4th wrecked submarine that Toktaridis has found. Speaking with journalists, he described the confrontation of 2 submarines as a rare naval event. Italy's Naval History Office confirmed through records that the newly discovered wreck is indeed the Giantina. Number 6. The world's deepest dwelling squid. While hunting for the wrecked World War II-era destroyer USS Johnston in the Philippine Sea last year, a team of researchers recorded rare footage of the world's deepest dwelling squid species. The elusive big fin squid is seldom seen. In fact, there are only a dozen or so confirmed sightings of the creature worldwide. The new video was captured at a depth of 20,300 feet using a remotely operated vehicle. It was seen just above the ocean floor and appeared to be a juvenile. Until now, the deepest ever big fin squid was spotted at 15,400 feet below the water's surface. In addition to the deep-dwelling squid, the team recorded 4 Dumbo octopuses. It's only the 2nd time the species has been observed so deep, which, according to study co-author Michael Vecchioni, proves that the previous deep-sea sightings of the creature in the Java Trench weren't simply flukes. He explained that the sighting raised some questions, like how big-fin squid and other species survive at depths where the water pressure is 600 times greater than it is at the surface. But even when one mystery leads to another, scientific discoveries are still being made. Number 5. A vast canyon. The Australian icebreaker RSV Nuyina recently embarked on its maiden voyage and made a fascinating discovery along the way. While traveling near East Antarctica in the Southern Ocean, the team detected a 1.2-mile deep canyon. It extends 34 miles from the Vanderford Glacier and is about 6,600 feet wide. Scientists had surveyed the area regularly for some time, but it was the first time anyone noticed the canyon. At one point in history, it was 37 miles longer than it is now. The trench is slowly moving away from the Vanderford Glacier, but it serves as evidence of how big the glacier may have been tens of thousands of years ago, according to voyage leader Lloyd Simmons, who spoke with the local news station. While sailing through an area with limited mapping, the team used echo sounders to map the ocean floor. The technology measures the depth of the seabed by sending out beams and measures how long it takes for them to echo back. Scientists will use the new data to study the impacts the trench may be having on climate change. What do you think these kinds of discoveries mean for science? Are there other hidden seafloor features? Tell me your thoughts in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe as well. Number 4. Foreign spy devices. 11 fishermen in China's East Jiangsu province were recently rewarded by the government for capturing 10 suspicious foreign spying devices in the country's waters. The devices, which have all been found since 2020, appear to be equipped with spy technology. They were all manufactured in other countries and had various functions installed, including underwater investigation, identification, and theft. For understandable reasons, the devices are seen as a threat to Chinese national security, which is why the fishermen who found them are being praised for their seemingly heroic actions. It was reported that it's becoming increasingly common for citizens to discover suspicious devices in China's territorial waters and to turn them over to authorities for further examination. Internet users who commented on stories about the discoveries were overwhelmingly in favor of protecting national security, demonstrating their widespread belief that it's important to act in their country's best interests. Since 2016, officials in Jiangsu have been holding annual conferences to reward fishermen for finding spy devices. The conferences aim not only to compensate citizens for a job well done, but to raise awareness among fishermen about how they can help keep China safe from spies. As international relations between China and other countries have become more complex in recent years, there's been a noticeable uptick in the presence of spy technology, according to national security expert Li Wei. To combat the perceived heightened intrusiveness, the government has stepped up its rewards program for reporting threats. The cash payouts run as high as $78,732. Number 3. The world's deepest shipwreck. The U.S. Navy destroyer USS Johnston sank to the bottom of the Philippine Sea during the Battle of Leyte Gulf in October 1944. The 377-foot-long vessel was finally rediscovered in 2019. It sits 21,325 feet beneath the waves, making it the deepest shipwreck ever found. Earlier this year, an exploration team descended nearly 4 miles to the sea floor on the deepest shipwreck dive in history. Over the course of 2 8-hour dives, they located and surveyed the front 2/3 of the wreck. The researchers found that its hull number 577 is still visible. Several fixtures remain in place, including gun turrets, twin torpedo racks, and numerous gun mounts. The Johnston sustained damage from being hit by the Japanese Navy battleship Yamato, which was the biggest warship ever built at the time. Out of 327 crew members, only 141 survived. Navy records show that around 50 men were killed by enemy action and 45 died on life rafts from their injuries. 91 crew members, including Captain Ernest Evans, initially made it onto the lifeboats, but were never seen or heard from again. Number 2. Missing plane wreck. On New Year's Day 1965, a small plane crashed into California's Folsom Lake, tragically killing all 4 people aboard. News outlets told the heartbreaking story of a family who lost 15-year-old Glenn Emick in the accident. He was out sightseeing in the plane when his life was unexpectedly cut short. Glenn's brother, Frank Wilcox, was only 3 years old at the time of the crash, but he longed for closure about what happened to Glenn and spent decades searching for clues about his older brother's fate. Unfortunately, Wilcox passed away without ever finding the answers he was looking for. Last year, a pair of researchers named Jeff Riley and Tyler Atkinson found what they believe may be the wrecked plane whilst testing new underwater sonar technology for a company called Seafloor Systems. The equipment detected something artificial in the deepest part of the lake, but the water was too murky to tell what it was. Riley and Atkinson returned to the site with a remotely operated vehicle and sent it 160 feet underwater to investigate. The water was still too cloudy to see much. On their third visit, the 2 men attached a sonar device to the remote-operated vehicle and finally obtained images of what they were trying to see. Sitting on the lakebed was a fully intact, silt-covered plane. Several parts of it were visible, but the explorers couldn't see inside the cockpit or make out its identification number. They credited the lake's unusually low water levels with helping them discover the long-missing aircraft, which plunged into the waters 57 years ago. Riley told a local news station that he found the prospect of giving families closure rewarding. Thanks to the unexpected discovery, surviving relatives may now finally be able to properly grieve. Number 1. Submerged cave. There's a spring at Roaring River State Park in Missouri that until recently was thought to be 224 feet deep, but a team of divers made a shocking discovery last year while filming and mapping the spring. They ventured where nobody else had ever gone, descending around 250 feet underwater and even deeper into an unexplored cave system. The divers were able to go 344 feet down and dropped a weight to 365 feet. Lead diver Mike Young told newspapers that the visibility was phenomenal. The cave system appears to be enormous. In the past, dive teams could only go to a certain depth because they lacked the technology to go further. They also encountered a narrow restriction that prevented them from going any deeper than 224 feet. The divers who discovered the cave system managed to get past the restriction and traveled hundreds of feet past what was considered once the bottom of the spring. Little by little, they plan to continue exploring it. Which of today's underwater discoveries do you find the most interesting? Let me know in the comments down below. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time for more amazing videos right here on American Eye.